nutrition is the best door opener for a healthy, long life.
And we think that food is probably the early gate to reach a healthier life in the longevity space.
So today I have two exceptional guests in our longevity talk, Peter Brabeck and Stefan Catsicas. No need to present you, but just let me do briefly. Peter Brabeck, Chairman Emeritus of Nestlé, ex-Chairman, CEO of Nestlé, Chairman of Formula One, and a lot of other titles. And can I say, recognize one probably of the biggest CEO ever. So it's
might be a slight exaggeration.
So it's a great pleasure to have you here. And I also want to mention a short stories how I get to know you. I was in the middle of the development of the international and holistic health. And I mean, your vision since ever has always inspired me. And I drop you an email to ask you for just, can I have 1 hour to pick a little bit up your brain and to see if I'm going in the right direction? And you immediately answered to me and you said, let's meet for a lunch. And during the lunch you told me, listen, holistic health is fantastic, but you need to create services around it. And that's what we did with the nutrition, with what we are launching now at the clinic. So thank you very much for this first conversation. Stefan Catsicas, a dear friend, first of all, in APFL, Head of Innovation in Nestlé. Now you are Managing Director of Skyviews Life Science, which is a wonderful and super innovative venture capital, private equity, probably a mix of the two. And you work together in Nestlé, right? You were the head of the innovation for Peter at the time. So thank you also to you for being here today. I would like, Peter, to start to ask you, we were talking about your vision, and in 2000 already you were setting this idea of putting together pharma, cosmetic, and food. The motto was feel good, look good, and be healthy, if I remember well. And at that time, probably the word longevity was not even there. But the vision was, we have seen in the last 20 years what's happening in cosmetic, incredible growth. What's happening in nutraceutical, incredible growth. In pharma, we will talk a little bit later maybe about this. Pharma is going a lot into this longevity field. What made you set this vision already in 2000 at that time for Nestlé?
Yeah, I think it all came about. I was looking the reason why the food and beverage industry existed and what was the task of the food and beverage industry. And if you go into history, you will see that basically the task was to assure that people all over the world would have access to sufficient calories at an acceptable price. That was the main task for the food industry. Why? Because in the year 1800, we had a mortality rate of 30 years. So with 30 years, the average person was dying. Why? Because it doesn't have sufficient calories. And calories is the thing that we need in order to be able to live. Over the years, the more we were able to give access to calories to the population, the longer the life expectation grew. But, and there's a big but, that happened around 1990, 1995. I looked in 1998. What I found out is that too many calories is shortening your life expectancy. So a paradigm that has existed for hundreds of years changed from one day to the other. And what really became important was that it is not so much the amount of calories, it is the quality of the calories. And for me, this is a big difference between food and nutrition.
Right. Because you wrote a book then, no?
Yeah, about which was Nutrition for a Better Life.
Nutrition for a Better Life, exactly. Where, let's say, the base is this distinction, which I have to say, I read the first time reading your book, between nutrition and food. And in nutrition, you put all the ingredients like micronutrients, vitamins.
Micronutrients, supplements.
Supplements. And you say something very interesting. The objective of the food industry should be also to reduce disease, because you can do it through nutrition, right?
Yeah, because what turned out, that's what we did in the beginning. When we gave people sufficient calories, we helped them to be healthier. Because you have to have a minimum amount of calories in order to have a healthy body. But when you give too much of it, you become unhealthy. And it became the source, food became the source, one of the main sources for an unhealthy lifestyle, which leads to obesity, as we know, and which leads, on the other hand, then afterwards to chronic diseases like diabetes and cardiovascular diseases and things like this. So food, which was in its beginning, of course, meant to assure a healthy life, if it is in excess, becomes an unhealthy life. And that's why we had to go backwards. When we, in the beginning, we started to use, for example, sugar. Why did we use in the food industry sugar? Because it was one of the very few conservatives that were available in order to make products more shelf-stable. And our grandmother started, and we do it still, making marmalades and things like this. And sugar was very important for the brain development. Now, but if you have too much sugar, like we have today, everybody of us has too much sugar, then, of course, a factor which was for health becomes a factor for unhealth, for sickness. So by changing the way and the products that we're offering, we can increase the possibility of a healthier life.
And reduce chronic disease in a sense.
And reduce chronic disease. Yeah. But above all, preventive.
Preventive, right.
Nutrition is the best door opener for a healthy, long life.
Sure.
And that's one of the things, you know, when I looked around and talked to consumers, what came out is not necessarily that the consumer wants to live longer. What he wants, or she wants, is to have a longer, healthy life. And there's a big difference.
Lifespan and health span is two different things.
They are two different things, okay? So when you are getting sick, you don't want to be another 10 years sick,
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
So sometimes we're talking about longevity, just saying, yeah, we want to live longer. No, we want to live a longer, healthy life, and we want to have a relatively short death.
They call it food supplement. I start to call them longevity supplement. But how do you see supplement in general? What do you think about supplement?
I mean, I've been launching supplements myself.
Yeah.
I think there is no doubt that when you have a deficit, supplements are necessary in order to help you to stay or to become healthy. Okay, there's no doubt about it. I will give an example. I mean, I personally went through a very disagreeable cancer situation, and when I came out of it, I was 64 kilos. I had basically no muscle left. I needed supplements in order to be able to regain what I had. Now, if you have a healthy body, and if you have a healthy diet, the need for supplements becomes perhaps less important, with, of course, exception on which life stage you are. Okay? The older you are, you might need more supplements because your body does not absorb anymore as easily, and your nutrition is also changing quite a lot.
So also the lifestyle maybe, depending also on the lifestyle. So
yes,
even if you're a little bit younger but you have a very stressful lifestyle and the eating habits are not
well, you
so
shouldn't
good.
have a stressful lifestyle, if I told you last time.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
sure. Where were you finding the energy to, what was your routine, the mindset that you were using to have all this energy and to have still, because you have still a lot of energy, you have a lot of business that you are still running. If you should tell us some secrets.
Well, I don't think there's any secret about it. I think, first of all, the energy comes from internal. My energy is coming because I am absolutely obsessed to learn every single day something new. I'm extremely curious. And this alone gives you a lot of energy. Okay? And then afterwards, I think once you have the internal energy, this will lead you that you keep your body also energetic and shape. So for example, in my case, I go at least twice a week and take Pilates lessons, okay, just to keep the inner body stronger, because fitness and things like this makes your muscles stronger, but Pilates makes your inner body stronger and helps the energy flow through your curve stronger. So that's one of the things I do. And then, of course, I'm active every single day in one way or the other, whether it is skiing, mountain biking, whether it's flying. So I'm active all the time.
Wonderful. Listen, talking about your philosophy in general, I wanted to ask you something about the investment. In the book, you highlight your, let's say, management philosophy, which I summarize in 3 points. Take risk and make mistake, always innovation first, and let's say in general, don't always remember that the speed of change inside the company must be higher than the speed of change outside the company. These are still elements important for you when you evaluate an investment in a company. There are other elements that makes you decide this is the right company to invest, this is the right company to be. We were just talking at lunch of some of your different investments that you have. These are still important criteria. There are other criteria?
No, I think many people are asking how I see the future, and which has to do with investments, because I mean, an investment is nothing else than your conviction of how the future is going to look like in a small sector and a big sector. But that's what an investment is. Okay, it's a taking a risk with the future. Okay, and my feeling is the only way how you can really make those decisions is anticipating the future. Okay? Because only if you anticipate it, you will be able to take the right risks. There will always be risks, but you take them more consciously and you take them more on base. I'm reading any magazine, any book that comes out, which shows me what's going to be in the future. And as a matter of fact, I have the privilege that the Swiss government appointed me chairman of a foundation which is called Geneva Scientific and Diplomatic Anticipator. So what we are doing is, we have about 4,000 scientists all over the world which are telling us what they are doing in their laboratories now. And we ask them not only tell us what you're doing now, but tell me now what you think, what your scientific breakthrough is going to have as an impact in 5 years, in 10 years, and 25 years. So looking forward allows you to have a better grip on what's happening now and where you want to invest. Okay? And by the way, this summary of these 4,000 scientists is publicly available. It's on the internet. We do everything transparent. So everybody who is interested, it's a unique booklet which never existed. Many universities are using it now because it gives you a feeling what's cooking in laboratories all over the world. So this is one area which allows me to say, look, here there will be really a new world, and does this company or this proposition that I have here have any relevance in 5 years or in 10 years? If it has only relevance today, I'm not investing.
Stefan, talking still about longevity and investment, we crossed some common companies and investment recently. Which are your criteria for investing in longevity? Longevity is becoming the hot topic. A lot of investors that were doing Bitcoin, they are doing longevity. It seems really is the big hot topics, even in the investment field. How do you choose your investment in this field of longevity with Skyview?
We first, since we very often invest in early stage companies, we focus on the people. In any investment, in my experience, the key factor, especially when it's an early on investment, are the founders, the management team, the scientists involved. So we go for people first, and then we try to assess the science depth of what they are doing. And one of the things that has changed in longevity over the last 5, maybe 10 years, but certainly 5 years, is that we understand much more what it really means. As Peter was saying, we understand what people want. They don't necessarily want to add years to life. They really want to add life to years, to make your life experience as dense and rich as possible. And we understand now some of the mechanisms of aging much better. The pharma industry has been pioneering the field well before everyone else. And now we understand that there is maybe a gray zone between deep clinical work and what we call wellness or well-being, where you have a little bit more freedom to operate than you have in the very strict regulatory environment of the pharma companies. A pharma company needs to show that a single compound in itself has an impact on your body and your health. When we look at a complex mechanism like aging, like again Peter was saying, we would need tens of compounds, maybe thousands of compounds. And that's where nutrition comes into play. Because, every mouthful are an enormous amount of compounds that your body takes. So we try to go nowadays into companies that use the overwhelming amount of information that we have on you as an individual to understand what is missing based on your genetics, on your lifestyle, on your food intake. And then we try to see what can we do for you to turn medicine not into a responsive technology, but into a predictive and preventive platform. Wow. And we think that food is probably the early gate to reach a healthier life in the longevity space.
And do you think that sooner or later the FDA will say that aging is a disease, therefore limiting us a little bit, but opening the field for pharma, or you think it's still a long way to go?
The issue with FDA is that they don't get a medal if a compound works well in the clinic. They get a blame if there is a problem. So they are very prudent people. And so before they take a decision like this one, I think a lot of years will pass. I personally don't think that aging is a disease, actually. I think aging is something natural that nature has put together. And the issue is that nature has a number of very good things and a number of bad things. And so as humans, we have this capacity to try to modulate how we face challenges coming from nature. So I think aging is a challenge, and that if we understand the science behind it, we can probably find solutions for it. Eventually, I think that one of our common dreams was to see a clinical trial where a pharma compound will be administered with a specific diet and a specific lifestyle. And actually, you and I had evidence that some of the products developed in Alzheimer's disease, where billions are sunk, would work if they were combined with healthy diets and a healthy lifestyle. The issue is that there is no money to make from giving physical exercises. So we have to reshape the system so the best interest of society is aligned with our personal best interest. And I think there are solutions to that.
And by the way, you always repeat to me that one of the weak points that you see even in this new model that are developing, like clinical Paris, this type of preventive medicine, is the follow-up, right?
Well, I think clinical Paris, not because I'm here and because we know each other, but we know each other, and I'm here because I think that clinical Paris is ahead of the pack. But I think there is no point in assessing your biology, the chemistry of your blood, what your needs are, and give you a piece of paper. What I think you need to do is to follow with people in the best way that adapts to them, that corresponds to them, so that every once in a while they hear from you, they hear news. You can ask them what is happening, what is going on. Some people are refractory to wearables. I'm actually not very good with wearables. And I'm not very good with wearables because they are too complicated to use.
Sure, and then you have to look at them and you
have to look at them.
If you just record
the other thing is you lose control of your data.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's another major, social issue. Sure. But you know, in my experience, technology is successful when you don't see it. You know, when you step into a room, you push a button and you have light. You have no idea what's happening between these two, whether there is a dam in Switzerland or a nuclear plant in Ukraine or somewhere else. You just want to see something responding to your wish. And the day wearables will, subject to controlling the environment, communicate with each other. We had a very nice collaboration between Nestlé and Samsung, where one of the goals was to have an intelligent fridge connected with your wearable, knowing the agenda of your day, determining what could be cooked with what was in your fridge, and if something advised a good recipe, like IBM and Watson Doctor, and then if something is missing, contact Amazon, not to name them, bring it in, and make sure that you have something that corresponds to your day and to the forthcoming week, without you knowing about it.
Sure.
I think technology has to be invisible to be successful.
Sure, wonderful. And in the last discussion we had, you are also becoming, you are coming from a very, let's say, scientific and pharma background, but you start to get also into the world of well-being and this latest technology that are getting into the longevity field. We have discussed together about cryotherapy, we have discussed together about the light therapy, all this kind of stuff. This is sound. We are doing together a project with the sound. Let's see how it's going to end. Yeah. But we have a nice project there. So you're getting interested in this type of technology because they work, right?
You know, I think life makes you humble. And so you're back, and true that I was a scientist in pharma, the School of Medicine, at EPFL and whatnot, at Nestlé. And so you develop some rigor. And when you look at the potential experiments, you want to be sure that you understand the whereabouts, that it is reproducible, that you can document it. And as soon as there is a gap, you get uncomfortable, and you prefer to put it aside and go somewhere else. The light was an interesting one. You know, I received a file, without making too many names, specific names, saying that exposure to visible red and blue light would help healing. Frankly, I took it, you know, delete, return, delete, and I moved on. And then I was called by a colleague of mine, oncologist at the University Hospital, who told me, you know, we have this machine that exposes tissue prior to radiotherapy in oncology patients, and the only word I can find to describe the effect is a miracle. So we looked into it, and we could see literature that was actually available and that I missed because too arrogant, showing that through a mechanism that we don't understand, there is energy transfer between the light and tiny little energy factories in our cells called mitochondria. When this transfer occurs, the mitochondria produce a magic molecule called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And that's the fuel of our energy. And life is about managing your energy. So when the mitochondria gets stimulated, it produces ATP, and the surrounding stem cells become activated and go directly at the wound side to repair the healthy tissue. So I think the lesson to me over the last 2-3 years, very recent, is that especially as a reasonably well-trained scientist, you have to be very humble and just accept that there are things that work, even if you don't understand them.
Thank you. Listen, last question. I can share the fact that you are a fan of holistic health, but beside our supplement, what is your, I also ask to you, what is your vision of the supplement? Is a market that, of course, Peter started many years ago, now is developing very fast. I think we have been the first to create this category of very sophisticated luxury products. How do you see this supplement field evolving, Stefan?
Well, I hope that it will become as personalized as possible. You know, the issue, if you look at the American market... So you agree
with the advice of Peter, service has to be related to the products. You cannot do something which fit it all, you need to create a service that goes together with the products.
I would love to afford to disagree with Peter, but in this particular case, I do agree. But the service has to be very specific towards personalization, I think. And again, if you take the American market, the average American consumer likes to buy the cheapest bottle with the highest number of supplements inside. 95% of this will just go through, all right? So what I think we need is ways to determine what you are missing in order to restore your balance, and then give it to you in a way that is affordable. Because if not, it will remain only for the really very top of the iceberg of people that can afford to buy them. And I still, I have a sense that we should try to democratize this opportunity to the largest numbers and make it personalized. You know, there is a fantastic word to me called P4 medicine, invented by Lee Hood, one of the precursors of DNA sequencing. And the 3 P's of medicine are predictive, preventive, personalized, and proactive, participatory. So where people, not patients, nor consumers, people start to have a small control on their fate. And so they can interact with doctors, they will interact with institutions like yours.
And we don't look at the disease, but we look at the person, right?
You look at the person as a healthy person, whatever the situation is, that you want to maintain as healthy as possible, as long as possible. Remember, add life to years and not years to life.
Sure. But in any case, I think this dream that you had and that you fulfill, in a sense, to put together these 3 big pharma, longevity, cosmetic, and food is wonderful. I hope in our small scale, we are trying to put it forward as much as we can. And thank you very much for this conversation and for being with us today and for your time.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.